Tonight we're at the MSJ Common Avenue Gym. We're down to a precious few games left in the boys basketball season here in 93-94. And tonight the Mounties of MSJ host the Rutland High Red Raiders. And this is their third matchup of the year. As you remember, back in December, the championship game of the holiday tournament at the Keefe Gym, Rutland won that one by a score of 73-60. They were to meet again just a couple of days later in the opening game of the league season, and Rutland won that one by a score of 48-33. Both those games at the Keefe Gym. The game tonight here at the MSJ Common Avenue Gym. The Mounties warming up off to our left as we look out. The Raiders warming up off to our right as we look out. I'm Jack Healey on board with Vince Allo, and Nico Miles is going to be helping us out with statistics tonight as well. Bulldog Blair is our engineer. We'll be back with more from MSJ after this 2-minute timeout. For the third time, the Mounties under Coach Leon Wood come into this game at 7-10 overall, 3-4 in league play. So the Mounties still one victory away from qualifying for the postseason. After tonight, they wrap up the regular season next week on the road. Tuesday night at Brattleboro, Thursday night at Hartford. So they got to pick up a victory, at least one in their final three, to qualify for the postseason. The Raiders have 4 games left, including tonight. They won't be leaving town. They have the game here, of course, at MSJ. Tuesday night, they will be hosting Springfield. Wednesday night at 5:30, Rutland High will be hosting South Burlington, a makeup game from the game that was now postponed in January, originally just to be canceled, never to be made up, but they did have an opportunity to squeeze it in, and they will on Wednesday at 5:30 at the Keefe Gym. Then the Raiders host Mount Anthony on Thursday, and the Tuesday and Thursday games, the regular start time of 7:30. So the Raiders, who come into this game at 11-5 overall, 6-1 in league play, right now in first place by a half game over Springfield in the Marble Valley League A division. And of course, they have long since qualified for the postseason, but right now they're looking for the highest seed possible. That is good for them, that they will play a 20-game season. You're penalized somewhat, regardless of whether you win or not, with a 19-game season. The JV game tonight won by Rutland 57-40 over MSJ. And we'll be back to get Vince Allo's comments and be back to check the starting lineups for tonight's game between the Mounties and the Raiders after this 2-minute timeout. Jack Healey back with Vince Allo at the MSJ Common Avenue Gym. Confrontation number 3 between the two clubs here in the city of Rutland. We already mentioned, Vince, that Rutland won by 13 in the holiday tournament championship game, then won by 15 in the regular season game when they got things underway in the league just a couple of days later. They played back-to-back in December and early part of January. The first game of the regular season might have been after the first of the year as we look back. In both games, the Mounties hung around a little bit, but the Raiders pulling away in the fourth quarter. As a matter of fact, that's pretty much been the story for MSJ. In the games they have lost, they've hung around for a while and then had trouble in the fourth quarter.
Well, exactly. They use their defense to keep them in a position to stay close in ball games, and then their shooting is what really lets them down. And Coach Wood from MSJ pointed out that they must shoot the ball better again, and that seemed to have been the story all season long for the Mounties. They've had trouble putting the ball in the basket, and that's something that's plagued them the entire season. Tonight, just looking at the keys, first of all, Coach Sid Thompson of the Rutland Red Raiders pointing out 2 things that probably led to the margin of victory in the first 2 contests. Control the tempo and keep it fast-paced, which obviously favors Rutland because they're much deeper when they go to the bench. They go 9, even 10 people deep, whereas MSJ can go 6 and 7. Use the inside game. The height of St. Peter and Anderson certainly gives the advantage inside to the Raiders, and force the Mounties to shoot the ball from the perimeter. They've struggled, like we pointed out, and if MSJ does not shoot the ball from the perimeter, that could spell trouble tonight against the Raiders. On the MSJ side of the ball here, for them to be successful and to qualify for the Division I playoffs tonight, they need to shoot the ball better, and that's something we've touched on the entire season. We'll probably touch on it as this game wears on. They had a lull in Springfield offensively. Coach Wood pointed out he felt that as though he might have gotten the shaft, perhaps, officiating, but nonetheless, he felt his team could have shot the ball better. They need to play better defense and crash the boards and try to keep the amount of the Rutland Raider runs, which is a 8-0 scoring spurt or even higher, down to a minimal amount tonight, so they can stick around in the game and possibly get hot and take this game over.
MSJ, of course, needing one victory in their final 3, but this is their final home game to qualify for the playoffs. So Rutland, on the other hand, as we mentioned, they're 11-5. There are a whole bunch of teams teams that have records comparable to that. That's why that makeup game with South Burlington is so important, especially after losing to South Burlington by 1 a week ago. And they would like to get in that top 4 if they possibly can, at least in the top 6, because that is going to be very interesting. A week from tomorrow, when the Principals Association comes out with the seedings and pairings, Coach Thompson wants to win the rest of the games. You always want to win every game, but if they could win 4 to wrap it up, they'd wrap it up at 15-5, and that would probably be good enough to be at least the 4th seed.
And plus, that gives them momentum going into the playoffs, which is what you're always looking for. On the MSJ side, naturally, the one victory gets them in the playoffs, which was a goal for the team the entire season long. And once you establish and reach that goal, it gives you a lot of confidence and momentum. I think if they're able to come out of here with a victory, it gives them a good shot at possibly getting 1 or 2 rounds into the playoffs. Looking at the Rutland Raiders side, like you said, if they go into the playoffs at 15-5, that certainly makes things interesting, and possibilities of hosting a playoff game become that much more stronger.
Let's look at the starting lineups. First of all, for Rutland High under Coach Sid Thompson, Luke Barron starting in the backcourt, a 6'1 senior, along with Jeff Sin, a 6-foot senior. Starting up front, Stuart St. Peter, a 6'4 junior. Mike Siebertson, a 6'1 senior. And also starting up front, Ben Anderson, a 6'6 junior. So it's Barron and Sin in the backcourt. St. Peter, Siebertson, and Anderson starting up front. Jimmy and Agnes will be coming off the bench. And Brent Bliss is not here tonight, so the Raiders have one less guy to go to off that very deep bench, as you mentioned, Vince. For MSJ, the Mounties under Coach Leon Wood, starting in the backcourt with Sean Keenan, a 6'1 junior. Jeremy Carroll, a 6'1 senior. Starting up front, Matt Rogers, first of several times tonight, celebrating his 18th birthday. Happy birthday to Matt Rogers, 6'2 senior. Starting up front along with Dan Collins, a 5'11 senior, and Joe Veresowski, a 6'1 senior. So it's Sean Keenan and Jeremy Carroll in the backcourt, along with Matt Rogers, Dan Collins, and Joe Veresowski. As a matter of fact, the seniors playing their final home game here. Carroll, Rogers, Collins, and is John Bigno a senior?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, so they're all meeting their parents, and they all have a gift for their moms and so forth. The final home regular season game for the Mountie seniors. Not a bad crowd here at the MSJ Common Avenue Gym. It's about 9/10 full. And judging by the parking situation outside, you would think it would be an overflowing crowd.
Exactly.
But
I parked in Pulteney. And
yeah, I thought you might.
All the way in and just barely made it for game time. And I know that you often get worried that I'm not going to make it here in time. You say we go on the air at 7:20. I like to stroll in at about 7:18, knowing that you'll have all the equipment set up like a groupie, in other words, a roadie, someone that comes in beforehand. All I have to do is show up, give a stellar broadcast, and then leave, exit stage left. And I know I can count on you.
Yeah, I know you're the best. You're the best, I know. Scott Dykman and Joe Davin are the officials for this one tonight. Rutland again winning the JV game 57-40. We'll be back with more on our pregame show after this 2-minute timeout. National anthem will be set to go. The Raiders and the Mounties. And, well, they say it's tough to beat a team 3 times. We'll see what happens. The Raiders won the Holiday Tournament Championship game back just after Christmas. Then the following game they won again against the Mounties. Both games at the Keefe Gym.
Well, this will be the first matchup coming here at the Convent Avenue Gymnasium, and certainly a lot of adrenaline could be favoring the MSJ Mounties. A lot of their key players are seniors, and this is their last opportunity to play in front of their home crowd. And thinking back to my high school days, that certainly added a little bit of motivation and enthusiasm towards what happened and transpired that evening.
The Raiders going left to right here in the first half. The Mounties right to left. Rogers and St. Peter will jump center in the JV game tonight, won by the Raiders 57-40. The tap is controlled finally by the Mounties. Dan Collins with it. He goes to Sean Keenan, and Keenan into the forecourt. Stops the dribble, goes on the left wing to Dan Collins. Left baseline to Beresowski now. Beresowski trying to force it up. The shot was blocked by Anderson. We're going to foul on Ben Anderson. And that's the first on Ben, and that is the first on the Raiders here.
Well, Coach Sid Thompson of Rutland pointed out they're going to use their size advantage and force MSJ to shoot it from the perimeter. And the fact that they're starting just Ben Anderson along with St. Peter down low, and they started off in his zone defense, certainly adds to that.
Beresowski at the line for 2. He was in the act of shooting. He misses the first. He'll get another. So the Raiders, really, who like to use that man-to-man defense, indeed starting off in the zone, and usually with his first unit they use the man-to-man. Second shot by Beresowski is no good off the rim. Rebound fought for, scramble for the basketball, and it goes out of bounds. And it goes off MSJ, so Rutland High will control in the backcourt. Looks like the Mounties are setting up the man-to-man pressure here right off the bat in the backcourt as Sievertson gets the ball into play to Sin. He's picked up by Jeremy Carroll. Sin dribbles into the forecourt near the left sideline. Dribbles left to right to the key. On the right he goes to St. Peter. St. Peter to the key to the line. Fires up the 15-footer, no good off the glass. Rebound fought for, and it goes to Matt Rogers, and Matt Rogers is fouled. Do they get Anderson again? It is again on Ben Anderson. 2 quick fouls on Ben Anderson getting the starting nod tonight. That's 2 on the Raiders.
Half a minute taken off the clock, and he's already picked up his second personal. Could be a big story later in the game.
Keenan puts the ball into play, left corner to Dan Collins. Back to Keenan. Back to Rogers, now to Carroll as they get into the forecourt. Some token full court pressure by the Raiders. Keenan, top of the circle. Back now to Jeremy Carroll, left wing. Back to Keenan, top of the circle against the Raiders zone. Back to Carroll, left baseline now. Back to Keenan. On the right wing to Collins, up for 3. It's in and out. No good. Rebound, Sievertson. No score, 7:05 remaining first quarter here at the Common Avenue Gym. Sievertson into the forecourt down the right sideline as he's picked up by Joe Beresowski off the man-to-man. Now to Anderson. Down low to Sin in the lane. His turnaround is no good. Rebound, St. Peter. He lost it to Carroll. Jeremy Carroll covers up and goes to Keenan. John Keenan into the forecourt down the middle against the 2-3 Raiders zone. To the right sideline, he goes to Carroll, back to Keenan. Between the sideline of the key, back to Carroll, back to Keenan. Throws up the long 3. It's no good. In and out. Rebound goes out of bounds, and it goes off the Raiders. The Mounties will control from the baseline as Kyle Berquist checks in for Rutland High for Ben Anderson. As Carroll looks to throw the ball into play, does right sideline to Keenan. Up for 3, no good. Rebound to Sievertson. Starts the break down the middle, then pulls it up and dribbles to the right. Mike Sievertson picked up by Beresowski. Out front now to Luke Barron, halfway between the circles. On the cut to St. Peter in the key. Wanted to go to Berquist, stolen away by Rogers. Rogers into the forecourt, then pulls it up, goes to Keenan, left side of the circle. No score. 6:15 remaining here in the first quarter. Keenan and Carroll pitch and catch. Carroll with it back to Keenan. Halfway between the circles. On the bounce to Rogers, on the left to Jeremy Carroll against the zone. Carroll wanted to go to Beresowski, picked off by St. Peter. Now Barron with it. Throws it into the forecourt for Berquist. And he goes left baseline to Mike Sievertson. Dribbles toward the sideline, then to the lane. Lays it up. No good. We got a whistle and a foul against the Mounties. Might have been before the shot. We'll wait and see. And it is before the shot. The foul is on Joe Beresowski of the Mounties. His first on the team. Sievertson puts the ball into play from the baseline to Berquist now on the left out front to Luke Barron. Back now to St. Peter near the left sideline to Sin, left baseline. Lays it up, blocked by Rogers, comes down to Berquist, back up, no good. And comes down to Sin, back up and good, but it won't count. We got a foul before the shot. Going against MSJ, it would be their second team foul. And who did they call that one on?
Jeremy Carroll.
It is on Jeremy Carroll. That's his first. Again, the second on the team. Raiders will control. Sievertson gets it into play to Barron. Scoreless ball game. 5:40 remaining first quarter. Sievertson now to Sin, right side of the circle. Picked up by Carroll. Now he goes to St. Peter. His 15-footer's good, and that breaks the scoring ice. Stuart St. Peter, the first bucket of the ball game. The Raiders lead at 2-0. 5:25 left in the first quarter. Carroll with it now as the Mounties break the pressure. Shot blocked by Bergquist from the left side of the lane. It goes out of bounds. Nice defensive play by Kyle Bergquist, and the Mounties will control from the baseline. Jeremy Carroll looks to throw the ball into play. Loops it all the way out front to Keenan. Back to the left sideline to Collins. Down the baseline to Beresowski. Back out front to Keenan. Now to Rogers in the lane. His shot is good. And the birthday boys got the first bucket of the night for MSJ. It's 2-2. Now to Rogers, who's 18 today, and Jeff Sin dribbled into the lane, and we got a whistle and a foul against MSJ. And the foul is again on Jeremy Carroll, the second. Third on the team as Joe Lorman checks in for the Mounties for Jeremy Carroll. So Carroll sits down with a 2. Anderson has 2 for Rutland High. Mike Sievertson will put the ball into play for the baseline. Gets it into Barron. Back to Sievertson, left baseline. Almost toward the middle now, and goes to Sin, to the key, to the lane. Back out to Barron, up for 3. No good. Rebound Lorman for the Mounties. We're tied at 2. 4:53 remaining first quarter. Into the forecourt, John Keenan against the Raiders zone to the right sideline to Dan Collins. Cross court, wanted to go to Lorman. Knocked away and picked off by Barron. Nice play. His pass intended for St. Peter, knocked out of bounds by Rogers.
Well, right idea that time by Dan Collins. Just he didn't put enough oomph on that pass. He lobbed it up there, and Barron was able to reach in and deflect it away. And fortunately for the Mounties, Matt Rogers did a nice job to deflect it out of bounds.
With it, right wing is St. Peter. Down low to Bergquist. Back to St. Peter. Right side of the circle. Dribbles to the right side of the lane. Pumps it up. No good, but he's whistled down for the double dribble. So the Mounties will go on hoop in the backcourt, going with Keenan, Collins, Rogers, Beresowski, and Lorman. Some full court zone pressure by the Raiders. Rogers ahead to Collins. Throws it into the forecourt. Knocked away by Bergquist. Picked off by Sin. Sin to the right side of the lane. Pulls up for the 15-footer and drills it. And the Raiders lead at 4-2. 4:20 remaining first quarter. Again, that full court pressure by the Raiders. Keenan with it. Ahead now to Rogers. Breaks the pressure as he throws into the forecourt for Lorman. On the bounce, wanted to go to Rogers. Behind him, picked off by Barron. He starts the break. Dribbles to the left sideline. Out front now to Sievertson. Has trouble with a handle. Knocked away. Picked off by Lorman. Lorman starts the break on the bounce to Rogers. He lays it in. That ties it at 4 apiece.
Heads-up play that time by Joel Lorman. He created a 2-on-1, used a nice bounce pass to feed Rogers, and Rogers has all 4 points for the Mounties.
Barron into the lane for the Raiders. His short jumper is good. Luke Barron answers that, and the Raiders lead at 6-4. 3:42 remaining first quarter. Again, full court Raider pressure, zone pressure. Collins to Keenan. Keenan throws it into the forecourt for Lorman. Lorman to the key. Down to the left baseline of Beresowski. Lays it up, no good. St. Peter comes down with a rebound. Might have got a piece of that. With it now, Luke Barron in the forecourt to the right baseline. Lays it up, no good, but we got a whistle and a foul against MSJ. It'll be a shooting foul. It's on Dan Collins. First on Collins. Fourth on the team. Kyle Abel checks in for the Mounties for Joe Beresowski. And checking in for the Mounties, Darryl Oskowski. And he checks in for Dan Collins. And at the line for 2, Luke Barron for Rutland High. St. Peter is out, and Jimmy and Agnes checks in for Rutland High.
Well, sticking to the game plan, on that last possession when Barron came up with the loose ball, Coach Thompson of Rutland was motioning for them to push the ball up, which they did. And what that'll do is that'll create opportunities such as this for Luke Barron, either to go to the free throw line or get an easy layup on the other end. On the other side of the ball, MSJ pulled Dan Collins. He had a couple early turnovers and a foul.
Barron missed the first. His second shot around the rim and in, so he gets 1 out of 2, and it's 7-4. The Raiders up by 3. Rogers to Lorman, still that full court zone pressure to Keenan. Keenan picked up by Sin in the backcourt off the zone. Breaks the pressure into the forecourt near the right sideline. He stops out front to Lorman. Underneath now, wanted to go to Abel. Can't handle the pass. Goes out of bounds. Nice idea by Lorman. Abel couldn't handle it, though, and the Raiders go on hoop in the backcourt. Raiders going with Barron, Sievertson, Sin, Bergquist, and Jimmy and Agnes. And with it is Luke Barron, picked up by Lorman off the man-to-man. Raiders up 7-4, 3 minutes remaining first quarter. With it is Sievertson, down low left baseline to Agnes. And a short baseline jumper, no good. Rebound, Bergquist back up, blocked by Abel, down to Bergquist it comes. Back out to Sin, up for 3, and he drills it. So Bergquist got the ball back, fed Sin and three-point land. Sin got the three-pointer. It's 10-4. The Raiders by 6. Sean Keenan throws it into the forecourt down the left sideline to Rogers. Now to Abel, right baseline. On the cut to Lorman. Ducks underneath. Lays it up. No good. Burke was the rebound. Outlet to Sin. Sin into the forecourt now. Dribbles toward the right. Pulls up right wing. Out front to Barron. 2:25 left first quarter. The Raiders lead at 10-4. Up top now to Berquist, right side of the lane. On the cut, on the bounce to Sievertson in the lane. Jumper no good. Rebound fought for, and Kyle Abel comes down with it. Abel goes to Keenan, and Keenan will dribble into the forecourt easily as the Raiders relent that full court pressure and set up the 2-3. To Lorman, back to Keenan now. Dribbles to the left on the bounce, left baseline to Kyle Abel. Back out, it goes to Keenan. 2 minutes left in the first quarter. Now Lorman with it, halfway between the circles. On the right to Skoski, now on the left to Keenan. Up for three, bang. John Keenan, three-pointer. It's 10-7. The Raiders by 3.
Well, testing the outside shooting of the Mounties, Keenan responded, and all came from that skip pass all the way across the court. The difference between that one and the one that got picked off was they put a little bit more push on it.
Here's Anagnos at the baseline, laid it up, no good. It was blocked by Keenan, but we got a foul against the Mounties, and it is indeed on Sean Keenan. That foul on Keenan is first. That is the 5th on the team. As Brian Pinney checks in for Rutland High, Mike Sievertson gets a breather, and Jimmy Anagnos is at the line for 2. He was in the act of shooting.
Well, when you're playing against an aggressive zone that Rutland's putting out there defensively, you must move the ball quickly, force penetration, and kick the ball either inside or outside, and move the ball in after each time you pass the ball, and that's what the Mounties did that time. They found the open man, which was Keenan, and he drained the three-pointer.
Anagnos missed the first. He will get another. Jimmy Anagnos, 6'1" senior, tied for 18th in the league in scoring, about 12 points per ball game. Second shot is good. He gets 1 out of 2. And the Raiders lead the Mounties 11-7. 1:38 remaining first quarter. Sean Keenan slowly up court for MSJ into the forecourt. Picked up by Barron. Looks like the Raiders are in the man-to-man now. On the right now to Abel, picked up by Berquist. So the Raiders have changed from the 2-3 zone to the man-to-man. The ball goes into the backcourt. Keenan picks it up. Backcourt violation. As I believe it was Abel who lost control of the dribble, went into the backcourt, picked up by Keenan. So the backcourt violation against the Mounties, and the Raiders will control as Abel is out, and Joe Barasowski is in for MSJ. So it's Penny, Barron, Sin, Berquist, and Anagnos right now for Rutland High. The Mounties now are in the zone. Penny goes back to Barron as they played pitch and catch for a moment. Back to Penny, halfway between the circles. Up top now to Anagnos. Has the left side of the lane. Back out to Penny, top of the circle. On the right to Barron. Dribbles to the lane. Scoops it up and in off the glass. Nice move for Luke Barron. 13-7. It's Rutland up by 6. 58 seconds remaining first quarter. So the two teams have changed defenses now. Mounties went from the man-to-man to the zone, and vice versa for the Raiders. Lorman with it into the lane, goes to Barasowski, and Barasowski is traveling as he went to the right baseline. So a turnover there, and the Raiders control in the backcourt. As back into the ball game is Dan Collins for MSJ. Out is Darryl Oskoski. Back in is Sievertson for Rutland High. Berquist out. Barron is out. And St. Peter back in for Rutland High. 46 seconds left in the first quarter. Some full court pressure by the Mounties. Broken easily by Sievertson down the right sideline. Stops the dribble. Now to Anagnos, right side of the lane. And his pass is intercepted by Sean Keenan. Keenan into the forecourt. 32 seconds left in the first quarter. Keenan into the lane. Short jumper, no good. A rebound, Anagnos. Rifles it down court for Sin. Sin drives and lays it up and in. It's going to count, and he got fouled. He's got an opportunity for a three-point play. Jeff Sin will be at the line as the Raiders lead it 15-7 with 25.2 seconds remaining in the first quarter. That foul was on Keenan, number 2, and number 6 on the team. So Keenan with 2, and Carroll has got 2. The starting backcourt for the Mounties. The shot by Sin is no good, in and out. A rebound goes out of bounds, and it goes off Rutland. The Mounties will control in the backcourt as Chad Fox, a 5'10 junior, checks in for MSJ for Sean Keenan, who sits down with the 2 fouls. Raiders lead it by 8, 15-7 with 20 seconds remaining first quarter. Lorman picked up in the backcourt by Jeff Sin. Lorman into the forecourt, dribbles to the left now. To the left side of the lane, to the left baseline. His short jumper's no good. Rebound goes to Barasowski, out to Fox, right baseline to the right side of the lane, and he is called for traveling. as he went to Collins, and they whistled him down for traveling. So the Raiders have the ball in the backcourt with 6.3 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Mounties set up that full court pressure as Sievertson throws the ball into play to Penny. Now to Anagnos, throws it into the forecourt for Sin. Up for three, it's no good. Rebound Lorman as time expires, ending the first quarter. So we've played one here at the MSJ Common Avenue Gym in confrontation number 3 between the Mounties and the Raiders. And after one, the score, Rutland 15, MSJ 7. We'll be back after this 30-second timeout.
MSC 23 West Street in Rutland.
Raiders up by 8 as we get set for the second quarter here at the Common Avenue Gym.
Well, Coach Sid Thompson of Rutland pointed out they're going to try to use their size advantage to take this game over, and they certainly had that in the first quarter, a 10-4 rebounding edge favoring Rutland, and I attribute that to a good position and obviously the height advantage that Rutland enjoys. Unofficially, MSJ committed 10 turnovers in that first quarter.
Raiders basketball here at the beginning of the second quarter. Sievertson with it out front to Sin, halfway between the circles. Right wing to Brian Penny. Now to the right baseline to St. Peter. On the bounce, it goes to Sievertson between the sideline and the key. Dribbles toward the baseline on the bounce. Down low to Anagnos at the right baseline. Back to Sievertson. Head fakes. Up top, wanted to go to St. Peter. Knocked away and picked off by Chad Fox to Berezowski to Collins. Collins into the forecourt for MSJ on the bounce. Right wing to Berezowski. Now to Rogers in the lane. His turnaround is good.
Important stretch here for the Mounties with Sean Keenan, their floor leader, sitting on the bench to open this second quarter.
Raiders lead it 15-9. Sievertson left sideline in the forecourt for Rutland High. Out to Penny. Up top now to St. Peter. 15-footer, no good. Rebound Sievertson at the baseline. Try to go back up with it. And the shot was blocked, but we got a foul against Dan Collins. And that foul on Collins is number 2. So Collins with 2, Carroll with 2, Keenan with 2. It also puts the Mounties over the limit. In this case, a shooting foul. Mike Sievertson will be at the line for 2 for Rutland High.
Nice job by Sievertson crashing the offensive boards, using that height advantage once again for the Raiders. MSJ needs to box out just a little bit more aggressively underneath the basket, and that will result in more rebounds and less fouls as this game wears on. Sievertson
hits the first. The Raiders lead it 16-9. Sievertson has another one coming. The second shot is no good. Rebound goes to Berezowski. So the Raiders have the 7-point lead, 16-9 early going, second quarter. Jeremy Carroll back in for the Mounties. He has the left side of the circle now to Rogers. Out to Fox, left sideline. Cross court now to Berezowski, 17-footer, short, no good. And we got a foul in the rebounding action, I believe, on Jimmy Anagnos of Rutland High. It is on Jimmy Anagnos, and that on Jimmy is number 1. That's the 3rd team foul on the Raiders, so the Mounties will control from the baseline. Jeremy Carroll getting set to put the ball into play for MSJ. On the bounce, gets it in right sideline to Matt Rogers. On the cut to Carroll in the lane. His turnaround is no good off the glass. Rebound Jimmy Anagnos. Pass intended for Penny, knocked out of bounds by Rogers. Set the alignment here. Sievertson, Penny, Sin, Anagnos, and St. Peter for the Raiders. Fox, Carroll, Rogers, Berezowski, and Collins for the Mounties. Sin with it left sideline out front to Sievertson. Right sideline to Penny. Up for 3. Bang. Brian Penny, a 3-pointer. And Rutland High now leads it by a score of 19-9. A 10-point Raider lead, their biggest lead of the ball game. 6:30 remaining first half. Carroll with it, left sideline to Collins. Down low, wanted to go to Rogers, knocked away by Anagnos, picked off by Sin. Sin into the forecourt. Sin has it knocked away, picked off by Berezowski. Ahead now to Rogers. Pulls up, lets everybody catch up, throws it in the forecourt for Chad Fox. Back out front to Jeremy Carroll near the midcourt circle. Jeremy Carroll directing the attack, picked up by Sin a few feet away off the man-to-man. Stops top of the circle on the left, goes to Fox, dribbles left to right and stops left side of the circle. Now to Rogers, left sideline, down low to Carroll. Back to Rogers on the bounce, back to Carroll down low. Head fakes to the baseline, scoops it up, no good. And Carroll and Sievertson both come down with a rebound, jump ball situation. And Luke Barron checks in for the Raiders for Jeff Sin. It'll be MSJ's basketball as Sean Keenan checks back in for MSJ, and Chad Fox checks out. Carroll gets the ball into play to Collins. His 15-footers, no good. Rebound, scramble for, finally run down at the sideline by Sievertson. He goes to Barron, ahead now to Penny. Left the sideline to Anagnos, wanted to go to the baseline to St. Peter, couldn't handle the pass, goes out of bounds. And the Mounties will go on to hoop in the backcourt.
You can see that Rutland continues to push the ball up the court offensively, and MSJ must do a better job getting back on defense, because St. Peter, if he didn't lose that ball, had a wide open layup.
Keenan dribbles to the right, and we got a whistle and a foul. And it's an offensive foul on Sean Keenan. He pushed off with his left hand, and Keenan now has 3 personal fouls.
Coach Leon Wood did not like that call whatsoever. That's a big foul in this ball.
Sure is. Keenan with 3 now.
Remaining.
Penny with it left sideline for the Raiders. Out front to Mike Severson. Back to Penny. Throws up the 3. Good. Brian Penny. A couple of 3-pointers for Rutland High. And the Raiders have opened up a 22-9 lead with 5:13 left in the first half. And Leon Wood of MSJ wants a timeout. That's your score. Rutland 22, MSJ 9. We'll be back after this 30-second break. A couple of threes for the Raiders. The Raiders have opened up a 22-9 lead with 5:13 left in the first half. And Sean Keenan's got 3 fouls for the Mounties.
And that certainly doesn't help the fact that MSJ right now is struggling offensively. They need to get something going. Look for them to go to Matt Rogers inside the foul line. That's where he's comfortable, and that's where he can get the ball down the basket.
Mormon is in for Keenan right now for MSJ. Here's Rogers, 17-footer. It's no good. A rebound, fought forward. It comes down to St. Peter. Outlet to Penny. Penny into the forecourt for the Raiders. Penny to the right side of the lane. Back out to Barron. Back to Penny. Lines up the 3. No good. Rebound, St. Peter. Fade away, no good, but we got a foul, I believe, in the rebounding action before the shot. We'll wait and see. The Mounties are over the limit anyway. The foul is on Dan Collins, so now Collins has got 3, and the Mounties are in serious foul trouble here. 3 on Keenan, 3 on Collins, as Mark Barassa checks in for Rutland High for Jimmy and Agnes. And now Oskoski will be checking in. Darryl Oskoski checks in for the Mounties for Dan Collins. Did they call that a shooting foul or not, or was that?
Well, it's over the.
It's in the rebounding action, 1-1. St. Peter will be at the line for a 1-1.
And you saw down at the other end, St. Peter used his height, and down at this end, he used his height advantage to get big rebounds for the Raiders.
He misses the shot. Rebound to Kyle Abel, who's also in for the Mounties. Abel, Carroll, Rogers, and also Oskoski in for MSJ right now, as Carroll is picked up by Barron. Has her way out front, left side. On the bounce now to Oskoski, left sideline. On the cut, wanted to go to Rogers, knocked away, back to Darryl Oskoski. Oskoski, a 6-foot junior, dribbles to the left baseline. He's fouled by Severson. Foul on Mike Severson is first. That's the 4th team foul on the Raiders. The Mounties are over the limit.
Barassa and Rogers really banging inside the lane that time. They know that Rogers wants the ball at the foul line. They're not letting him get that position where he's so comfortable.
Carroll gets the ball into play to Rogers. Wanted to go back to Carroll, knocked away and picked off by Severson. Now Luke Barron with it into the forecourt. Barron halfway between the circles. On the bounce, right side, it goes to St. Peter to the right baseline. His shot is no good. A rebound, fought for. It goes to Barron at the circle. Now to St. Peter in the lane. Short jumper, no good. He was fouled. St. Peter will be at the line for 2. He was in the act of shooting. And the foul is on Kyle Abel of MSJ. He is first. 22-9. The Raiders with a lead. 4:10 left in the first half.
Well, Coach Leon Wood is dangerously close to getting a technical foul. You look up at the score, the foul situation is 7-4 in favor of Rutland.
Shot by St. Peter is good, and Stu will get another as the Raiders lead at 23-9.
And he's been riding both officials throughout this first half, trying to get a call down at the other end on behalf of his Mountie squad.
Second shot by Stu is no good. Rebound to Rogers. So the Raiders have that 23-9 lead. Now Jeremy Carroll with it. Slowly into the forecourt, picked up by Barron off the man-to-man. Carroll to the left side of the lane, forces the shot, no good. We got a foul before the shot. Foul, I believe, is on Barron. First on Barron, that is the 5th on the team common foul. The Mounties will put the ball into play from the baseline. As Sin is in and as Severson is out for Rutland High. Carroll looking to throw the ball into play from the baseline. Gets it in, left corner to Abel. Now to the left wing. He wanted to go to Oskoski and to chase it down, but Oskoski with it out near midcourt now. Stops on the right, wanted to go to Abel, picked off by St. Peter, but Abel comes back to steal again for the Mounties, goes to the floor, and he's whistled down for traveling. Well, Kyle Berquist checks in for Rutland High for Stuart St. Peter.
Had Abel stayed on the floor that time doing a nice job hustling, he wouldn't have been called for a travel, but as soon as different parts of your body start touching the floor and leaving, that's an automatic travel violation.
With it is Penny up top to Berquist, right wing to Barron, dribbles toward the right baseline, backs it up toward the sideline, now to Sin, back to Barron, right sideline against the Mountie 2-3 zone. Barron dribbles to the right baseline, shut off there, out to Penny, up for 3, bang! Brian Penny has been sharp from three-point land, his 3rd three-pointer of the ball game, and the Raiders have opened opened up a 26-9 lead with 3:18 left in the first half.
Penny 3 for 4 from three-point line in the first half.
Lorman on the cut to Carroll in the lane, lays it up, no good. Rebound to Sin. And Sin lost it to Rogers, lays it up, no good. Rogers the rebound, back up, no good. Rogers again the rebound, and he pumps it back up, no good, but he was fouled before the shot. Rogers keeping it alive off the offensive boards for MSJ. The foul, I believe, was on Barassa. And that's his first, and that is the 6th on the team. So a common foul as Lorman is out. Chad Fox back in for MSJ.
Well, just to give you an idea of how much MSJ is struggling offensively, those are normally guaranteed baskets for Rogers, and he had to go up 2 or 3 different times just to get the final foul called.
Carroll's inbounds pass stolen away by Barron. He goes coast to coast, lays it up, no good. Rebound, Burke was back up, no good. And the rebound controlled by Barron. He lost it out of bounds, but apparently it went off to a Mountie, so the Raiders will control from the baseline. Apparently Abel knocked it out of bounds. Sin throws the ball into play, left wing to Luke Barron. Luke Barron dribbles into the lane, goes to Barassa. Might have been knocked away, but Barassa goes to Sin. Sin throws up the 15-footer, blocked out of bounds by Rogers. So the Raiders will try again from the baseline. Rutland 26, MSJ 9, 2:46 left here in the first half. The Mounties just 2 points here in the second quarter. Inbounds pass to Berquist, short jumper, no good. Fox the rebound for MSJ. Raiders are outscoring the Mounties 11-2 here in the quarter. Down low, Rogers underneath to Abel. We got a whistle and a foul against Rutland High. And this will put the Raiders over the limit. Abel will be going to the line for a 1-and-1. Unless it was before the pass. Wait a minute. They're going to call that one on Barron. That's on Luke Barron, his second. Abel indeed will be going to the line for the 1-and-1 for MSJ. So both teams over the limit.
Well, just 2.5 minutes remaining here in the first half, and MSJ has 2 points to show for their efforts here in the second quarter. So that certainly is their scoring struggles continue into this ball game.
Abel hits the first, though. He'll get another as Sievertson checks in for Rutland High for Luke Barron. And the Raiders lead it by 16 now. Rutland 26, MSJ 10. 2:35 left first half. Kyle Abel's second shot is up. No good off the back of the rim. Rebound goes to Brian Pinney. Pinney covers up and sends it now to Jeff Sin. Sin into the forecourt down the left sideline. Mounties are going back to that man-to-man. Out front to Sievertson. On the right to Pinney. Head fakes to the right baseline. Back out to Sievertson now. Dribbles to the right baseline. Dribbles along the sideline. Down low to Berquist. The pass stolen away by Oskoski. Oskoski goes coast to coast, lays it up. No good. Offensive foul on Darryl Oskoski. And we had some fisticuffs for just a moment there. Offensive foul on Oskoski. It looked like Oskoski and also Brian Pinney were getting into it for a moment, but it was broken up in a hurry. And the Raiders will control in the backcourt.
Well, Oskoski did a nice job to come up with that loose ball, but he had a 3-on-1 offensively. He had Rogers to his left. All he had to do was pick his head up and give it to him, but he took it the whole way, and a nice job by Pinney taking the charge.
Berquist top of the circle now for Rutland High on the bounce right wing to Mark Barassa. Back out front to Sievertson. Down low to Sin in the lane. His turnaround is no good, and the rebound goes out of bounds off Berquist. The Mounties will control in the backcourt. Minute 53 left in the first half. It's been all Raiders. Rutland 26, MSJ 10. Fox along with Oskoski, Jeremy Carroll, Matt Rogers and Abel, Collins and Keenan both on the bench for the Mounties. Both have 3 personal fouls. Fox with it. On the bounce down low to Rogers. His turnaround's no good. A rebound goes right back to Oskoski. A shot no good, and the rebound is finally knocked out of bounds. And it goes off MSJ, and Rutland will control in the backcourt with a minute 33 left in the first half.
MSJ continues to have problems scoring points, and that's going to be something that they got to make an adjustment in the second half. They're getting good shots, it's just not falling for them.
Pinney's pass intended for Barassa goes out of bounds, so the Mounties will control in the backcourt. Sievertson, Sin, Pinney, Berquist, and Barassa for the Raiders. The Mounties again with Fox, Carroll, Abel, Rogers, and Darryl Oskoski. With it is Kyle Abel, right baseline. His shot is no good. A rebound, Sin. Easy rebound to Jeff Sin, outlet to Pinney. Pinney into the forecourt down the left sideline for Rutland High. He's on fire from three-point land. He's got 3 out of 4. Wanted to go to Sievertson, knocked away, scramble for the basketball. Off Rogers to Fox. Chad Fox controls for the Mounties into the forecourt. Less than a minute remaining first half. Fox dribbles to the right. And we're going to whistle and a foul. And who are they going to call that one on?
I believe it's on Brian Pinney, setting an illegal screen.
It is on Brian Pinney.
On the perimeter against Matt Rogers.
First on Pinney, the team over the limit as Beresowski checks back in for the Mounties for Darryl Laskowski. And Rogers thinks he should be at the line, but Chad Fox was at the line.
It should be Rogers. He was the one that was knocked down.
Yeah, it should be Rogers, and they got the right guy now. Matt Rogers will be at the line for a 1-and-1. 56.9 seconds left first half here at the MSJ Common Avenue Gym. Raiders lead at 26-10. Matt Rogers for a 1-and-1. His shot is no good. Rebound to Pinney. Pinney covers up and sends it ahead now to Sin. 50 seconds left in the half. Jeff Sin left sideline in the forecourt. Down low to Berquist. Back to Sin. Dribbles left to right. Into the lane. Spins. Fires up. Deflected by Rogers. Kept alive by Berquist. Back to Sin. And we got a foul against MSJ's Chad Fox. Sin will be at the line for a 1-and-1. The foul on Chad is his first. So with 39.3 seconds left in the half, Jeff Sin at the line for a 1-and-1.
3 points here in the second quarter for the Mounties. And that's one of the things that was touched on before this game, before every game we've done to this point, Jack, is their offensive struggling that's going on. This continues in this game, and they certainly have to look for something in the second half to try to turn that around.
Sin hits the first. He'll get another as the Raiders lead at 27-10. Second shot by Sin is good. Gets them both. It's Rutland 28, MSJ 10. Rutland now enjoying its biggest lead unofficially. 18-point lead for the Raiders. 33 seconds left in the half. With it is Rogers left side of the circle. Rogers out front now to Carroll. And his 18-footer straight on is good. Rutland 28, MSJ 12. 20 seconds remaining first half. Into the forecourt, Severson. That was a two-pointer for Carroll. He had his feet over the line, by the way. Barassa down, low out front to Pinney. 10 seconds left in the half. To the right baseline to Sin. Head fakes. Shot blocked by Abel. Scramble for the basketball. And finally, it goes out of bounds. And it goes off MSJ. And Rutland will have the basketball from the baseline with 4.6 seconds remaining in the half. 28-12. The Raiders lead it. Severson looking to throw the ball into play. Gets it into play to Berquist. Short jumper, no good off the glass. Rebound, Abel. He sends it now to Beresowski from the backcourt. His shot is no good off the glass. His time expires, ending the first half. So we played a half here at the MSJ Common Avenue Gym. At halftime, our score, Rutland 28, MSJ 12. We'll be back to talk about it after this 2-minute timeout. Hey, can the Raiders wrap up with 3 games at home next week, Vince? Their final 4 don't even have to leave town. They got Springfield, a game in which they got a revenge on their mind because they lost in the final seconds. South Burlington, again, they lost in the final seconds. And Mount Anthony, they beat Mount Anthony at Mount Anthony by 3. For the Mounties, they got Brattleboro, a game in which they lost here. And this is after tonight. And at Hartford, and that could be the big matchup for the Mounties. That one very well could be the one they need for the 8th. Not to say that this game is over by any stretch of the imagination. Not to say that they cannot go down to Brattleboro and beat them. But here, they took care of Hartford with relative ease. They'd have to do it again over at Hartford if it comes down to that.
Well, you'd hate to have to leave it at that, to have to win your last game on the road in order to qualify, but it can be done. One thing they need to do tonight is just go back to basics and try to get something established offensively.
Raiders going right to left here in the second half. Mounties left to right. Raiders basketball. Pass comes into it. Nagnus to Severson, right baseline. 15-footer, bang. And right off the bat, Raiders score. First shot of the second half, and the Raiders lead it 30-12. Keenan is back into the ball game. We'll set the alignment for both teams in a moment. As Keenan goes into the lane, his 14-footer off the back of the rim, no good. Rebound comes down to Sin. Sin, Barron, and Nagnus, Severson, and St. Peter right now for Rutland High. Severson with it. Lost the handle, picks it up again, dribbles right to left toward the middle, and his pass intended for St. Peter goes out of bounds, but it was deflected apparently by a Mountie. It might have been deflected by Keenan. Keenan, Collins, Beresowski, Rogers, and Carroll right now for MSJ. And keep in mind, Keenan and Collins both have 3 personal fouls. Severson puts the ball into play to Jimmy and Agnes between the sideline and the key. Picked up by Rogers off the man-to-man. The Mounties back into that man-to-man on the right to Severson, to the right baseline, and he is tied up, but fouled by Joe Beresowski. Foul on Joe Beresowski is his second. That is the first on the team here in the half. Severson will put the ball into play from the baseline for Rutland High. Gets it in, down low to Sin, right side of the lane, into the lane, feeds St. Peter, lays it up, no good. He was fouled by Beresowski. All of a sudden now Beresowski's got 3 personal fouls. So Beresowski, Collins, and Keenan all with 3 apiece. And that's the second on the team. And St. Peter in the act of shooting will be at the line for 2 for Rutland High. Stuart St. Peter. Stu looks and fires. It's no good. He'll get another.
Well, 2 quick fouls on Beresowski. That's 3 out of their starting 5 with 3 personal fouls. And in the pregame show, we touched on the fact that they're not a very deep team, so they've got to keep their best players in the lineup as long as possible.
St. Peter misses the second as well, and we got another whistle in the rebounding action. And the foul is on Rutland's Jimmy Anagnos, his second. That's the first on the team. So the Mounties will control in the backcourt. Rutland 30, MSJ 12, early going third quarter. John Keenan picked up by Barron. So both teams in the man-to-man as Keenan dribbles into the forecourt, dribbles to the left now. Left sideline, he goes to Joe Beresowski. Back out to Collins near the left sideline. On the bounce to Rogers in the lane. His shot is good. Matt Rogers connecting there for MSJ. Rutland leads it now 30-14. 6:50 remaining third quarter. Barron with it. Top of the circle is pass picked off by Matt Rogers down the middle. Rogers on the bounce to Keenan. Drives. Lays it up. No good. Rogers the rebound. Backup shot blocked by St. Peter. Comes out to Barron. Great play by St. Peter. Barron goes coast to coast, but Rogers comes back to knock the ball out of bounds.
Outstanding hustle. Matt Rogers came up with a deflection down here at this end. Took it the length of the floor. Got an offensive rebound. Had it blocked and ran all the way back on defense to knock the ball away and save an easy basket by the Raiders. And Matt Rogers seems to be the only Mountie right now that's playing with any sort of inspiration.
Exactly. Severson getting set to put the ball into play for the Raiders. Gets it into Anagnos down low to St. Peter. He's fouled by Collins. Collins now has 4. 4 on Collins, 3 on the team. And again, the Raiders will put the ball into play from the baseline.
Not a good foul that time by Dan Collins, reaching over the back against St. Peter. St. Peter had good position against him in the low post. He just should have held his ground.
Severson gets it into Sin. His 3-point attempt is no good. Rebound to Barron. Back to Sin. Down the baseline. Lays it up. No good. He was fouled. And for the Mounties' sake, they better give that one to Rogers. And they do. Collins was right there. Rogers on his first, and that is the 4th on the team. Kyle Abel is in. Dan Collins checks out. It is a shooting foul. Sin is at the line for 2 for Rutland High. Shot by Sin is good. Jeff will get another. It's Rutland 31, MSJ 14. 6:29 remaining in the third quarter here at the MSJ Common Avenue Gym. Second shot by Sin is good. He gets them both. The Raiders now lead at 32-14. Keenan throws it to Carroll. Up for 3 from the left wing. His shot is no good. Rebound, fought for, and it goes out of bounds. And it went out of bounds off St. Peter, so the Mounties will control from the baseline. Going with Carroll, Keenan, Beresowski, Rogers, and Abel. Looking to throw the ball into play. Carroll looking. Gets it in on the bounce to Beresowski, left side of the lane. Muscles into the lane. Forces the shot. No good. But he was fouled. Beresowski will be out the line for 2. He was in the act of shooting. And the foul is on Mike Sieberts in his second. That's the second on the team.
Well, offensively, MSJ needs to be just a little bit more patient. Make 2 or 3 more passes on the offensive end. And those shots will start to come a little bit easier. What they're doing now is making 1 pass and taking the first open shot to them. And it's not the best shot they can get offensively.
Shot by Beresowski is good. Joe will get another as the Raiders now lead at 32-15. Second shot by Beresowski is good. Gets them both. Rutland 32, MSJ 16. A 16-point Raider lead. Sin throws it left sideline out to Severson in the forecourt. Now to Barron between the sideline and the key, picked up by Keenan. Luke Barron to the left side of the lane, goes to Sin, chases it down left corner. Along the sideline goes to St. Peter. Down low to Anagnos, and we get a foul against MSJ. And it might be on Carroll. If it is, it's number 4. It is on Jeremy Carroll. No, it's number 3. Check it. So Carroll's got 3, Keenan 3. Again, Collins on the bench with 4. Brian Pinney in for Rutland High. Luke Barron is out. And it's the 15th foul on the Mounties. Severson gets the ball into play down low to Anagnos in the lane. His turnaround is good as he muscled his way into the lane. Jimmy Anagnos on the bucket. And it's Rutland High 34, MSJ 16, 5:46 left third quarter. Keenan into the forecourt for MSJ. Keenan to the right sideline, goes to Joe Barasowski, picked up by Sievertson. Down low, he wanted to go, picked off by Anagnos. Throws it down court for Sin. He drives, lays it up, no good. Rebound, St. Peter back up, no good. Rebound, chased down at the corner by Sievertson. As he saved it, down low now to St. Peter. Turnaround in the lane, deflected by Abel. It comes down to Carroll. Now to Keenan. Keenan to the forecourt for the Mounties down the left sideline. Keenan dribbles to the left baseline. And we got an offensive foul on Sean Keenan as he muscled Penny away. And now Keenan's got 4 personal fouls. And already that's 6 on MSJ here in the half. Keenan now with 4. Collins on the bench with 4. Carroll in the game with 3. Barasowski's got 3. The Mounties have some serious foul trouble. Some semi-full court pressure by the Mounties. Sievertson has it in the backcourt for the Raiders to Anagnos into the forecourt. Jimmy Anagnos halfway between the circles. On the right to Brian Pinney. He's got 3 three-pointers to his credit. Goes to Sin. Sin's 17-footer is in and out. Rebound fought for. Saved by Carroll off the bucket to Rogers. Rifles it into the forecourt for Barasowski, and Barasowski's fouled by Pinney. And the foul on Brian Pinney is his second. That's the 3rd on the team. Benny Anderson is checked in. St. Peter and Barron are out. Anderson's checked in for the Raiders. Again, Pinney checked in before. Joe Lorman is in for Sean Keenan right now for MSJ. Mounties basketball left sideline in the forecourt. 4:53 remaining third quarter. The Raiders lead at 34-16. With it is Lorman, picked up by Pinney off the man-to-man. Has it left side of the circle. Looks left and goes right to the right wing to Joe Barasowski. Dribbles right to left, down low to Rogers. Lays it up and in. Got it down low. Beat his man and laid it in easily. Raiders lead at 34-18. 4:30 left third quarter. Sievertson picked up by Barasowski, dribbles into the forecourt. Rogers comes over to knock the ball out of bounds across the way. Matt Rogers, again, all over the place for the Mounties in this one tonight.
Well, he almost had the steal. Barasowski did a nice job of turning Sievertson, and Rogers was there on the weak side. He just couldn't keep the ball from going out of bounds.
Anagnos to Pinney. Pinney between the right sideline and the key as the Raiders control to Anderson. Down low to Anagnos. Lays it up, no good. We got a whistle in the rebounding action here. And a foul. And the foul is on Ben Anderson, so Ben's got 3. That's 4 on the team. And as Darryl Laskowski is in and Barasowski out for MSJ.
During that last time out, Anderson came back in the game for the first time since early on in this game when he picked up those 2 early fouls.
Jimmy Anagnos getting a breather for Rutland High. I believe it was Sievertson. It was St. Peter comes back in for Rutland High. St. Peter back in as the Raiders in the 2-3 zone. Rogers 15-footer, no good off the rim. Rebound, tap from Abel to Carroll. His shot deflected, comes down to Abel, left side of the lane. Shot blocked by St. Peter. Will have a foul on Stu St. Peter. Kyle Abel will be at the line for 2.
Well, as soon as St. Peter and Anderson come into the game together, Rutland switched their defensive strategy to a zone defense to take advantage of that size, and MSJ struggling from the perimeter, make them shoot the outside shot. We've got a
there we go. We knew that one was coming. we talked about it off the air at halftime. Leon Wood has been whistled down for the technical foul. Abel will be at the line for 2 when we come back after the Raiders. Well, I guess Abel will take the 2 shots first. Then the Raiders will have the technical foul shots plus the basketball. Technical foul on Mountie coach Leon Wood. As Abel misses the first, he'll get another.
Now, big swing here, although Rutland already up by 16.
Second shot by Kyle Abel is good, so he gets 1 out of 2. It's Rutland 34, MSJ 19. Now the technical foul shots.
Well, now Rutland will get 2 from the line and the ball back, so this could be a big play swing offensively for the Raiders.
We have 3:51 left in the third quarter. It'll be Sin at the line for the 2 technical foul shots for Rutland High. Shot by Sin is off the rim, no good. He'll get another. And again, the Raiders will get the basketball. Sometimes you get the feeling that somebody's going to get a tee, and we got the feeling, didn't we?
Oh, yeah.
Second shot.
Like you said, we talked about it during the halftime.
Sin gets 1 out of 2 as he hits the second shot. 35-19. The Raiders have the lead here. And the Raiders will have the basketball. Sin with it in the backcourt, then dribbles back into the forecourt to the key, stops to the left baseline to Anderson, drives and lays it in. Went by Joe Lorman and laid it in easily. Rutland 37, MSJ 19. 3:38 left, third quarter. Carroll down the right sideline for the Mounties. To the right baseline he goes, toward the baseline, back out to Lorman. Lorman tried to save it in the backcourt, did. It went off Rogers to Oskoski, now to Abel. 15-footer, no good. Rebound goes out of bounds, and it goes off Jeremy Carroll. Nice play by Joe Lorman to save that from being a backcourt violation. Nice hustle. Raiders will have the basketball now as Sievertson gets it into Sin in the backcourt, picked up by Carroll in the backcourt. And Sin gets it into the forecourt down the middle. On the left goes to Pinney, up for three. Bang! Brian Pinney, his fourth three-pointer of the ball game.
4 for 5 from three-point land for Brian Pinney here in this game off the bench.
And the Raiders lead it 40-19. They lead it by 21, their biggest lead of the ball game. Leon Wood wants a timeout. 3:05 left in the third quarter. That's your score. Raiders 40, Mounties 19. Back after this 30-second timeout. It's a 21-point Rutland High lead. The Raiders lead the Mounties by a score of 40-19. 3:05 left third quarter. John Barker is checked in for Rutland High now. Sievertson is out.
Well, that last possession for the Raiders, Brian Pinney was left all alone outside the three-point line. He was 3 for 4 till then. He hit that one 4 for 5. You can't leave a good shooter like that wide open.
Carroll's shot from the baseline, no good. Rebound goes to Sin into the forecourt now for the Raiders. All the way to the lane, running right-handers, no good, and we got a foul on the rebounding action. And the foul is against Rutland High.
Ben Anderson, he's got more fouls than minutes played tonight. He's got his 4th personal, and he's only played just a couple of minutes here. He picked up 2 early on in the game, and he's got 2 here in the third quarter.
And he's out of the ball game with a 4 foul, 6th on the team. As Kyle Berquist checks in for Anderson. The Mounties controlling the forecourt, Lorman with it. On the bounce left sideline to Carroll, back to Lorman to the key. On the bounce down to Rogers, left side of the lane, dribbles a few times, forces the shot, no good, but he was fouled. He drew the foul nicely. Matt Rogers will be at the line for 2. The foul is on Kyle Berquist, his first, and that foul on Kyle puts the Raiders over the limit. Both teams over the limit now, both going to the line from here on in. In this case, a shooting foul, so Rogers at the line for 2 for MSJ. Shot by Rogers is no good. He'll get another.
And Matt enjoying celebrating his 18th birthday. Heard it on your
program. You said it for me.
Morning.
Yeah, we called him up this morning. Second shot by Rogers is no good. Missed them both. Rebound to Sin for Rutland High. 2:30 remaining third quarter. The Raiders lead it 40-19. Sin into the forecourt on the left wing. He goes to Stu St. Peter. Looks right, looks left, looks right again. Wanted to go to Sin. Deflected out of bounds by Rogers. We might add, on Matt's 18th birthday, he's playing a pretty good ball game. I mentioned earlier, he seems to be the only one that's really showing any fire out there.
Seems like the rest of the Mounties are just going through the motions right now, and they can't afford to do that against this Rutland team.
St. Peter tried to go up with a shot from the right baseline, knocked away by Kyle Abel, but we got a foul. And did they indeed call that on Abel, or was it somebody on the other side? No, they called it on Rogers. That's his second. And Rogers is second, the team over the limit, but St. Peter at the line for 2 in the act of shooting. Stu St. Peter for Rutland High, 6'4" junior, looks and fires. He's got it. He'll get another. The Raiders have opened up a 41-19 lead as Chris Mayhew checks into the ball game for Rutland High. For Jeff Sin.
Wonder if they're going to get that on film.
Well, Chris played the other night, of course. Stalwart for the JV club. Second shot by St. Peter is good as the Raiders lead it now 42-19. Stuart St. Peter nailing both. 2:12 remaining here in the third quarter. Here's the 3 for Oskoski, and he hits. Errol Oskoski, the three-pointer from the right sideline. It's Rutland 42, MSJ 22. The Raiders lead it by 20. 2 minutes remaining here in the third quarter. Mayhew into the forecourt for the Raiders. Chris Mayhew stops the dribble, and he is whistled down for the traveling violation. So setting the alignment for the Mounties, Carroll, Oskoski, Lorman, Kyle Abel, Matt Rogers. As I say that, Beresowski is in for Kyle Abel. Barker, Mayhew, Berquist, Pinney, and St. Peter for Rutland High. Mounties control the basketball with Lorman. On the right wing to Oskoski. To the right corner to Barasowski. A shot blocked by St. Peter. St. Peter comes down with it. Nice defensive play by Stewart St. Peter. He's double-teamed. Shovels along to Mayhew. Still in the backcourt, and Chris dribbles into the forecourt down the middle, picked up by Carroll. Left wing to St. Peter. St. Peter dribbles into the lane and lost it to Lorman. Lorman brings it the other way for the Mounties. Shovels it for Rogers, running left-hander, no good. Rebound, fought for. Scramble for the basketball. A few go to the deck. And it goes out of bounds, and it goes off Rutland, I believe, and the Mounties will control from the baseline.
Seems as though MSJ is starting to pick it up a little bit more, diving for loose balls, trying to get something going here as the third quarter winds down.
Pass comes into Rogers, baseline jumper, no good. Rebound, St. Peter, outlet to Mayhew. Chris Mayhew into the forecourt down the left sideline, gets double-teamed. Lost control, picked it up again, it goes to Pinney, now to Barker, down low to Berquist, drives baseline, lays it up and in. Nice move for Kyle Berquist. Rutland up by 22. The Raiders 44, MSJ 22. A minute left, third quarter. With it, Lorman left side of the circle. 18-footer, no good. Rebound, fought for, and it rolls to Berquist. Now Berquist throws it ahead to Mayhew into the forecourt. Rolls right to left, halfway between the circles, goes to Berquist. On the left now to Barker, down the baseline, shovels it off, wanted to go to St. Peter, off in to Berquist to Mayhew. Well, we got a whistle. And a foul, I believe, on Jeremy Carroll of MSJ. And Carroll's got 4 now, as Mark Barassa checks in for Rutland High for Stewart St. Peter. Sean Keenan checks back in for the Mounties, and so does Dan Collins. Carroll will check out, and also checking out will be Joe Lorman. Kyle Berquist will be at the line for Rutland High. Both teams over the limit. 40.7 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Rutland 44, MSJ 22. Yeah, he's at the line for a 1-and-1, Kyle Berquist.
They were discussing something, Aaron, out there on the court. The two officials were, and I'm not quite sure what it was, but it is a 1-on-1 situation for Berquist.
And he misses the shot. Rebound off Daryl Oskoski and picked off by Sean Keenan as he dribbles into the forecourt. Up for the long three, straight on. He hits a long three for Sean Keenan. Rutland 44, MSJ 25, and Rutland wants a timeout with 27.5 seconds remaining in the third quarter. We'll be back after this 30-second break.
7.
35 fouls have been called in this game tonight. Rob Black is sitting next to us. He did the JV game tonight. He also did the game in which MSJ and Poultney played, the one to which this is the girls' game, where MSJ won in the final seconds. And there were 67 fouls called in that game. Rob said, what are they trying to do, break my record here tonight or what? But they got a long way to go. They're only halfway there, Rob.
If we're talking numbers, Rutland's up by 19 right now, due in part to the 35-19 advantage in the rebounding department. And give a lot of credit to Stewart St. Peter with 9 rebounds for the Raiders.
And the Raiders basketball in the backcourt as they break the pressure. Berquist goes to Mayhew, and he scoops it up and in as he went to the lane and laid it in. Chris Mayhew on the bucket. 46-25. The Raiders lead it by 21. 14 seconds left third quarter. Here's Rogers for 3. Off the glass, no good. Rebound to Keenan. Lost the handle, picked off by Berquist, and we have a foul going against MSJ. Berquist will be at the line for a 1-and-1. The foul is on Joe Barasowski. That's number 4. I know that is not Chris Mayhew's first varsity bucket. He got 5 points the other night in his varsity debut. That's his first bucket, though, on WSYB.
In this rivalry,
yeah.
He's in the record books.
His dad, of course, proud dad, Brian, the cameraman. This game will be shown on Channel 15 at a later date. Shot by Berquist around the rim and in. He'll get another.
Contrary to rumors, Mr. Mayhew will not be going to Fox next year to join the NFL staff. I know it's been a vicious rumor circulating, nor will Jack Healey. They're both staying put under long-term contracts.
Second shot by Kyle Berquist, good. He gets them both. That moves the Raiders up 48-25. 5 seconds left third quarter. Keenan with it, right sideline, up for 3. No good off the back of the rim as time expires, ending the third quarter. Collins tried the tip of the buzzer. I'm not sure. I don't believe that would have gone. It would have been after the end of the quarter. So we played 3 here at the MSJ Common Avenue Gym, and after 3 our score, Rutland High 48, MSJ 25. Back after this 30-second timeout.
I see.
The Raiders outscored the Mounties 20-13 in the third quarter. They had a 16-point lead at halftime. They now have a 23-point lead after 3. It's the Mounties basketball as we're underway in the fourth quarter. Raiders have set up the 2-3 zone. Here's Rogers, 15-footer off the back of the rim, hangs in the air, no good. Rebound. Barassa tried to save it, couldn't do it. Mark Barassa, Ben Anderson, Chris Mayhew, John Barker, and Brian Penny in there right now for Rutland High. Chad Fox is in for the Mounties. We'll get to their alignment in a moment. Gets it into Collins, up for 3, no good off the back of the rim. Rebound, fought for, and it comes all the way out to Sean Keenan. Keenan now to Fox, right side to the right baseline. Shovels it off for Rogers. Short jumper in the lane is good.
Nice job on the penetration that time by Chad Fox. Little skip pass off the dribble to Rogers for 2.
Rutland 48, MSJ 27, early going fourth quarter. The Mounties going with Rogers, Collins, as Mayhew goes to Barassa underneath, lays it up, no good, but he was fouled by Keenan. Keenan, Collins, Fox, Barasowski, and Rogers for the Mounties, and that foul on Keenan is number 5. He's out of there. Sean Keenan is fouled out of the ball game. Mark Barassa will be at the line for 2 for Rutland High.
Well, Keenan leaves this game with 6 points, all of them coming from beyond the three-point stripe. 1 3-pointer in the first quarter, 1 in the third. And foul problems plagued his ability to make himself a factor in this game all evening long as he picked up a few personal fouls early on in this game. Had to spend most of the second quarter, or actually all the second quarter, most of the first quarter on the bench.
Jeremy Carroll comes in for Keenan, who's fouled out. Carroll's got 4 fouls. Collins is in there right now. He's also got 4. Mark Barassa at the line for 2 for Rutland High. Shot by Mark is no good. He'll get another. Rutland is up by 21, 48-27, 7:24 left in the ball game. Raiders wrap up with 3 at home next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. The Wednesday game against South Burlington at 5:30. Shot by Barassa is good. He gets 1 out of 2. The Mounties have 2 on the road next week, Tuesday and Thursday, to wrap up the regular season. Raiders lead at 49-27. Chad Fox with it, right sideline to Collins. Now to Rogers underneath. Carroll lays it up, no good, and the rebound goes out of bounds. And let's see, it went out of bounds off MSJ, so the Raiders will control in the backcourt with Brian Penny.
Got to be frustrating for the Mounties. A wide open layup by Carroll. He just couldn't get it to go for him.
Inbounds pass stolen away by Rogers now to Fox, and his 3-point attempt is no good. Rebound goes out of bounds, and it goes off the Raiders, so the Mounties will control from the baseline with Jeremy Carroll. Jeremy Carroll looking to put the ball into play for MSJ. Looking around, gets it in, right sideline to Joe Barasowski, goes to the baseline, down low to Rogers, and we got a foul against, I believe, Barker. It is on John Barker, his first. On Barker, the Raiders 6'1" junior. And Rogers will be at the line for a 1-and-1 for MSJ. Keep in mind, 2 J.P. Carrera & Sons MVPs tonight, 1 for the Mounties and 1 for the Raiders. Shot by Matt Rogers is in and out, no good. Rebound is controlled by Barassa to Barker to Penny in the backcourt. Less than 7 minutes remaining in the ball game. Rutland 49, MSJ 27. Penny now goes to Mayhew, dribbles left to right. His pass picked off by Rogers. Quickly in the forecourt, goes coast to coast, lays it up, no good. He was fouled. Matt Rogers will be at the line for 2, I believe. Again, that was on Barker. It is on John Barker, number 2.
Despite the numbers on the scoreboard and the inability to score here tonight, Matt Rogers continues to play hard at both ends of the court, and there's a shaken-up Raider on the baseline. Looks like Brian Penny has been shaken up. Could be costly. He's a big factor off the bench, and we've seen that tonight with 4 3-pointers off the bench by Brian Penny, and hopefully this is not a serious injury. The playoffs starting in just a couple of weeks. You want to be sure that you've got, number 1, momentum, your team's playing well, number 2, that you're all healthy going into the playoffs, and this would be a big loss for the Raiders.
So Brian Penny, indeed, it might be his ankle. He's off to the right by the baseline.
And our statistician, Nico Miles, informs us that Brian Penny's had somewhat of a history of ankle problems, and hopefully this is nothing serious.
Well, he's up. He's being helped off the floor. Brian Penny, and holding his right leg up, and it might be an injury to his right ankle. And it will be Jeff Sin checking in for Brian Penny. 22-point Rutland High lead. The Raiders lead at 49-27 with 6:46 left in the ball game.
Maybe we'll be able to get a report on that before this game is over with.
They're going to help him off to the locker room, too. Rogers at the line for 2 for MSJ. Or at least help him up to the stage here, I guess is where they're going to bring Brian Pinney. And the shot by Rogers is good around the rim and in. Matt will get another.
13 points in this game for Rogers, nearly half of the offensive output by the Mounties.
Rutland 49, MSJ 28. Second shot by Rogers is no good. Rebound to Ben Anderson. And Anderson sends it down to Mark Barassa. Now to Jeff Sin, still in the backcourt. Sin will dribble up easily now for Rutland High. Into the forecourt. Goes left sideline to John Barker. Dribbles toward the left baseline and stops. Has it between the sideline and the middle. Tried to force it inside. The ball knocked away, picked off by Rogers. Rogers tied up by Sin. And we are going to have a foul on Sin. Foul on Jeff Sin is his first. Team over the limit. Rogers will be at the line for a 1-and-1 for MSJ as Mike Severson checks in for Rutland High and John Barker checks out. 6:28 left in the ball game. A 21-point Rutland High lead, 49-28.
The fouls continue to mount up.
The fans are singing happy birthday to him. Sure, that makes him feel real good. The shot by Matt is no good, and the rebound goes to Ben Anderson to Chris Mayhew.
You can't get a birthday bounce from the line.
I'll tell you, if it was my 18th birthday and I was going to the line and the fans were singing happy birthday, I'd be a little bit upset and embarrassed. I'm sure he was. He missed the shot. Here's Severson, 15-footer. It's an air ball. It was deflected. Comes down to Anderson, lays it up. No good. It was knocked away. Here's Rogers now. Chases it down. Goes to the bucket. Lays it in with the opposite hand, right-handed. Well, I guess happy birthday didn't bother him after all.
He's got 15 points, Jack. And remember what I told you in the hallway this morning. 18 on the 18th for Matt Rogers.
Rutland 49, MSJ 30. Severson left baseline for Rutland High. Down low to Mark Barassa. Back to Severson left baseline. His short baseline jumper is no good. Rebound to Mayhew, and he throws it back up and in from the lane. As kind of just scooped it right up and in. Offensive rebound for the bucket for Mayhew. 51-30. Rutland High with a lead. Rogers 15-footer, no good. Rebound Barassa as he covers up and goes to Sin. 5:27 left in the ball game. The Raiders have a 21-point lead. Sin gets it into the forecourt as he had the pass from Severson now to Mayhew. Left sideline, back out front to Sin. Midcourt circle now to Severson, right sideline. The Raiders spreading it out a bit. Now to Mayhew. Mayhew back to Severson, right sideline. Back to Sin, midcourt circle, left sideline to Mayhew, and Mayhew is fouled by Dan Collins, and I believe that will be it on Dan Collins. He's fouled out of the ball game. So Collins is fouled out, and Keenan also is fouled out. As into the ball game is Jamie Camden for MSJ, for Joe Barasowski, but they'll replace Collins here as well, who fouled out. And Darryl Laskowski will check in for MSJ as Brian Mayhew is at the line for a 1-and-1 for Rutland High. They never did take Brian Pinney to the locker room. He's here by the stage off to our left at the MSJ Common Avenue gym. 5:05 left in the ball game. Shot by Mayhew is good. He'll get another. Rutland 52, MSJ 30. Second shot for Chris Mayhew is good. Chris gets them both, and Rutland goes up by a score of 53-30, a 23-point Raider lead. 5 minutes left in the ball game. Rogers top of the circle on the right to Oskowski. Up for three, no good. Comes right down to Camden, lays it up, no good. Rebound controlled by Severson. Outlet now to Mayhew. Mayhew into the forecourt down the middle. Pass to Barassa, back out to Sin. The Raiders again will spread it out to Severson way out front near the midcourt circle. Severson stops the dribble and gets double teamed out near midcourt, and he was fouled. Mike Severson will be at the line for a 1-and-1 for Rutland High as Barker gets set to check back in for Rutland High. That foul was on Rogers, his third. And Barker's in for Sin for Rutland High. Now checking in is Kyle Abel for MSJ. And he'll be checking in for Jeremy Carroll.
And we've got an injury report on the injured Raider, Brian Pinney, taken off the court a few moments back. Mild sprain to the right ankle. He will be able to play next week.
All right, they got 3 back-to-back, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday to wrap it up. All of them at home. Shot by Severson. He is good. He'll get another. Rutland goes up by 24, 54-30. 4:39 left in the ball game. Who's keeping the scoring, you or Nico? Second shot by Severson is good.
Yes.
55-30. The Raiders lead it by 25. Rogers with it. On the right, he goes to Oskoski. Right baseline to Abel. 15-footer. An air ball goes over the bucket. Comes down to Chris Mayhew of Rutland High. The reason I asked that is because I know you missed a bucket or two while you were gone.
That's all right. I'll catch it from the Hawkeye statistician, Nico Miles.
Anderson with it now to Barassa. Back out to Mayhew to the key. And on the left sideline, he goes to Barker. Barker down low to Anderson. Big Ben's shot blocked out of bounds by Camden.
I want to point out that is Chris Mayhew on the court for the Raiders, not Brian, as I had mistakenly pointed out earlier in the game.
Yeah, it is Chris, of course. Here's Barker, right side of the lane, short jumper's deflected, but he got fouled. It was deflected, I believe, by Abel, and Abel on the foul. And John Barker will try to get in the book. He's at the line for two. That foul on Kyle Abel is his second, and the Mounties want a timeout. So we got a timeout on the floor. 4:05 left in the ball game. Our score, Rutland High 55, MSJ 30. Back after this 30-second timeout. Back out to Fox on the left now to Rogers. His 15-footer's no good. Rebound, fought forward. Barker comes down with it at the corner. Barker now to Sievertson, ahead into the forecourt to Mayhew. Less than a minute remaining in the ball game. Mayhew feeds. Barassa lays it up, no good, but we got a traveling violation.
Nice pass off the dribble by Mayhew, and we're seeing the future of the point guard duties here for Rutland in Chris Mayhew.
55 seconds left in the ball game. The Mounties control. Lorman to the right wing to Fox. Wanted to go to Camden, knocked out of bounds by Anderson. And we got a timeout on the floor. 50.4 seconds left in the ball game. Our score, Rutland High 60, MSJ 34. Back after this 30-second timeout. High with the lead. The Raiders led at 15-7 after a quarter, 28-12 at halftime, 48-25 after three. And they have never looked back. And they've virtually controlled this game throughout. Rogers with it, right side of the lane. Short jumper, no good off the back of the rim. Rebound tapped out to Mayhew.
Well, the fact that Rogers can't get these easy jumpers to go down for him sums it up for the whole evening for the Mounties. They were just unable to get the ball through the basket, and Rutland came in and did what they needed to do and came out with a big, impressive victory.
Barassa with it down low, left baseline, double team. Gets it to Anderson, right baseline. Fires up, no good, but we got a whistle for 3 seconds, I believe, against the Raiders. So the Mounties controlling the backcourt with 29.2 seconds left in the ball game. Raiders lead at 60-34. Lorman down the middle against the 2-3 zone. Right wing to Fox. The count wanted to go to Camden. Back to steal the basketball was Barker, and then Barker was fouled immediately by Jamie Camden. His first. And John Barker will be at the line for a 1-and-1 with 22.7 seconds left in the ball game.
Well, now for the Mounties, they must go on the road in search of that elusive one victory that will qualify them for the playoffs.
Got one at Brattleboro, one at Hartford. They beat Hartford easily here earlier in the season. See what happens. They need one more.
Certainly have their work cut out for them.
Barker's shot is up and good, and he'll get another. Rutland 61, MSJ 34. Second shot by Barker is up, no good. Rebound to Rogers. 20 seconds left in the ball game. Rogers, top of the circle, up for three, no good. Rebound tapped around, goes to Camden, lays it up and in. Rutland 61, MSJ 36, 10 seconds left in the ball game. Anderson to Mayhew, right sideline. Mayhew controls off the dribble, right to left, goes to Anderson. Short jumper is in and out off the glass. Rebound Oskoski, and that's the ball game. Rutland High has won it. That's your final. Rutland 61, MSJ 36, and Rutland completes the city sweep.